Welcome to a special edition of Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. I'm Ritwika Gupta. This week we'll be deep diving into the present state and future of fantasy sports in the country. The segment has been gaining momentum due to a wider internet penetration across the country and also due to the increase in the number of fantasy sports platforms. Today, I'll be speaking to the founders of one such platform that also happens to be India's first unicorn in this space. But first, here's a quick look at the industry. Exciting and rewarding. Fantasy sports are often played on the internet where participants create teams using players involved in professional sports. In India, the industry is slated to touch $2.5 billion in 2022 and is expected to be worth $3.7 billion by 2024. Of course, it is not surprising that the most popular fantasy sports in India are outdoor sports, with cricket being at the top.
The fan base for cricket is the largest in India, and hence that sport is followed with a lot of fervor and passion. When the advent of fantasy gaming platforms emerged, all of us got the opportunity to put that knowledge and analytical skills to use when we participate in the game.
And there's also been much discussion around the regulation of online fantasy sports.
There is ethical, logical, and legal distinction that the courts have made for online games of skill, even if it is played for small stakes. And that, I think, is a big differentiator. I think the future looks very bright, especially the consultations that AIGF as the apex body is having with the various government stakeholders. Now, these discussions are leading to a possible future central regulation. If the GST side of things which is currently under discussion, is settled in the manner that the industry is asking for it, then I think the sky is the limit.
To get a better understanding of the industry, I'll be in conversation today with founders of DREAM11, Harsh Jain, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder DREAM11 and Dream Sports, and Bhavit Sheth, Chief Operating Officer and co-founder DREAM11 and Dream Sports. Bringing together his love for sports, gaming and technology, Harsh pioneered fantasy sports in India in 2008 with DREAM11. Bhavit is also an avid fantasy sports enthusiast who is focused on ensuring that the company's processes provide excellent user-focused experience. Harsh, Bhavit, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Let's go back to the very beginning. Tell me, what was the idea behind Dream Sports and DREAM11?
It wasn't something that we said, we want to do entrepreneurship, let's think of something to do. It was more based on the fact that we were fantasy sports fanatics, fantasy football. So we played Fantasy Premier League from 2000, early 2000, 2001. So we've been playing that for 20 years now. And that is like the crux of our group of friends. Our chit chat every time we meet is, what's your FPL score and how do you do in this week? When IPL started in India, I went looking for fantasy cricket. And then I, asked all my friends that, let's play fantasy cricket because Super Selector was great. Went to look for Super Selector, it had shut down. It was a perfect example of the right product at the wrong time. And so he said, this is crazy because we play fantasy football with so much passion and it's such an integral part of our life. How can India, with 1 billion cricket fans, not have fantasy cricket? So it was a problem that we passionately felt about, we wanted to solve, and we also knew that there's a large market that would use a product if we were able to solve it for them as well.
But this is in 2008. That's when you guys founded, the company.
That's right.
How did you have the foresight that this has the potential to actually become huge?
We didn't. A lot of entrepreneurship is, timing. A lot of it is chance. You have to put in the hard work. You have to have. So I think, even when we invest in early stage companies today, the two things we look for most is team and TAM. Team being the people, like why you? Why will you not give up? Why will you solve this problem? Why are you best suited? And TAM is the total addressable market. How big can this solution get if it solves a user problem? And so I think anything to do with cricket in India and sports in general is a very large market. And we were uniquely passionate and positioned as two engineers doing something with an engineering degree to solve for this.
Bhavit, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I would just say that, as you think about your product, and as Harsh said, that the way we thought about it, and this is, very early days, we were like, oh, there are 1 billion cricket fans in the country. And something that engages sports fans, but that's not available out here. So how do we solve for that? And that's, how the idea germinated as well.
Right. So, most of us, most of our viewers, we know of DREAM11, but not everyone is a direct user. So if you could, for our viewers, tell us what DREAM11 is, what can they expect when they actually have the app, and really, is it a game of skill or a game of chance?
You know how in India, everyone you meet, you can go to a taxi driver, to an office peon, to your boss, to your father, to your friend, to your colleague. Everyone has an opinion of who should open for India, who should bowl in which over, how should they bowl, how should they bat, and someone is playing a pull shot, they'll be like, nahi, thoda aise marna chahiye tha, So it gives that voice of the Indian fan a vehicle to say, you know what, if you know cricket so well, why don't you pick your own team and prove that you actually know cricket so that before the match you can pick a team. And you can say that I knew these players are going to do well and I can compete with others and showcase my skill. We obviously think it's a game of skill, but that's not good enough. The only one who can truly opine on this is the law that actually wrote that games of skill are not gambling and betting or like normal business activities. The Supreme Court in India, 3 times actually, with the 3rd time them passing a judgment saying that this matter is no longer res integra, which means this matter is no longer undecided, which means it has reached finality, has said that fantasy sports, the one that we offer, DREAM11's format, is legal, a business activity, as a game of skill, and not betting or gambling.
I want to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to talk about the industry in India, fantasy sports. What is your sense of the current state of the industry right now, and globally, if you were to compare, where do you think India stands?
India obviously is yet in its nascent stage, it's yet growing. The internet penetration is not at the same level that it is in other developed countries. So there's a lot of room for growth. Obviously, the last few years has seen a lot of growth in the number of people that have smartphones, that have internet connections. But that penetration yet needs to increase, and also the comfort of people to transact online needs to increase. So, today India is yet an offline market, but with UPI, with a lot of initiatives, people are getting comfortable with paying online. And now they need to get comfortable with, using products, purchasing online, using services online. And that's where, we see a huge growth compared to developed countries. And, that's where that entire penetration will come in for internet businesses in India as well.
It's now time to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10, and today I'm in conversation with Harsh and Bhavit from DREAM11. Listen in. What do you think are some of the challenges in the industry currently? I mean, in terms of funding or regulation, and of course, I think when I was doing the research, you guys started off with an ad-based model, which is not there anymore. So, if you would like to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So, what happened is we started with that ad-based model, and it was a free to play game, so the only way we were making money was through ads. And unless you have a very large user base, you're not going to make enough revenue through ads to cover all your expenses, right? And that's what we realized very early on. Because we were a niche product at that time, people didn't understand how to play fantasy sports. It was something that we had to educate users about. And so that ad driven model didn't work for us because it wasn't making enough meaningful revenue. And that's when we realized that, okay, this is never going to work for us, so how do we pivot? And that's when we tried looking at how to pivot the model into a different model where there was a revenue base in that model. And it took us around 3 years to get to that, but we did some multiple pivots and went through a bunch of product development cycles and finally came up to the product that we have today.
Okay, Harsh, would you like to add to that?
Indian market is unique. We have very low CPMs, which is cost per million impressions, which is the ad rate. We have, accounts receivable, which are not the same as accounts, that cash flow rather. And so there's a lot of things that were broken in the ad ecosystem in India. So when we tried to emulate the West, it didn't work. We also loaded it up with all the other features in the world. And then we realized years later, through many pivots, that we need to focus on solving the user problem. The problem was sports engagement. So we flipped over to only fantasy sports and a freemium model. And it was just one of those 100 pivots, right? It wasn't just like we pivoted once and it started working. It was part of 100 pivots that finally started working.
Okay, if you could tell us what the freemium model is all about.
Sure, so you can either play for free and play forever for free with no ads. It's a pure play product experience which just enhances your sports viewership. The second part is that you can also play for money because it's a game of skill proven by the Supreme Court and not gambling or betting. So it's a regular business where you can put in money, compete with other people, and the platform keeps 10 to 15% as a platform fee.
So, we are in this beautiful office of yours in Mumbai. I can't help but talk about the work culture. And also, how do you approach the right talent for your company, especially because from what I understand, yours is a very young tech workforce.
So I think it's very, very important for us. We don't have inventory, delivery, warehouse, shipping, advertising, sales. We don't have anything like that. So literally what you see today in our office is all of DREAM11. That's it. There's nothing that exists outside this one Mumbai office. And so our talent is everything to us. That is the entire company. So we've always kept a very strong culture-driven approach to working because it's not just about paying well. That any unicorn can do that today. There's enough money that's flown into the ecosystem. It's about creating the right culture. It's about, giving ESOPs to everyone.
Yeah, I would just add to it that, culture is not something that you can see or you can tell people that, we have this bhelwala coming to office or we have this physiotherapist, masseuse coming to office. But it's actually what you live, breathe, eat every day, right? It's the thread that binds everyone in the organization together. And that's what we've tried to build because, we believe that culture is the only thing that can scale. As you scale your organization, systems will break, processes will break. Culture is one thing that will continue throughout, and that's what we've always been focused from day one, that we'll build an organization with great culture, which we'll be able to scale as we scale up as well. And so for even just to give you some examples, we encourage people to fail because for some people failure is like a taboo, right? But we say that you experiment and take risks. If you fail, it's okay because you're going to get a lot of learnings out of it, and those learnings will help you in the future when you're doing your other experiments, right? So we have this culture of experimentation. We have a culture where we hire great people and we get out of their way. We give them independence to do their work. There's this no hippo culture. Hippo is highest paid person's opinion. So, some of these things that we do, and then a lot of other things which make people comfortable, and, when they are giving their best to the work, they feel that they are in a comfortable environment.
Right. So what would your advice be to entrepreneurs or smaller businesses who want to get into this space? And also for investors, why should they invest in sports tech in India?
So I think For entrepreneurs, I'll go back to what Bharat also said earlier, solve a problem. Don't get into fantasy sports or gaming because it's a cool thing to do, because some of the biggest leaders in India have come back saying that this is the future. Come in because you are uniquely positioned to solve a problem that you're passionate about to a large market. Tomorrow with 5G coming into India, gaming is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries along with OTT, etc. It's for the first time the government is really putting in its efforts to regulate and structure the gaming ecosystem and industry to help it grow further. It's already a $20 billion industry, and we believe that it can be a $100 billion industry in India and be a significant contributor in this $1 trillion economy that we want under our Honorable PM's vision to achieve.
Bhavit, so do you also agree that India can be a super gaming power?
Absolutely, and I think we are poised to go in that direction. India is a large gaming audience anyways today. They just need to get what they need and what they want, and I think there are enough opportunities for entrepreneurs today also. And I'll go back to what Harsh said earlier, right, that two of our biggest learnings, be persistent, make sure that you, if you have a vision, you go through with it, and there will always be hiccups on the way, so you have to learn to cope up with those hiccups and move forward. And be persistent, be tenacious, and execution is the key, right? Because everyone will have great ideas, but if you're not able to execute, then you'll not be able to reach your objective, your goal, your vision.
Finally, before I let you go, please tell me some of the trends that you are excited about in this segment in the coming years.
Yeah, I can start. So, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of excitement around the Web3 space, right? So, Web3 is one space that we are also looking closely into. It's very nascent today. There have not been enough utilities created around Web3, but that's where the opportunity also lies, right? That how do you create Web3 opportunities, Web3 utilities to grow, and there's a lot of development that's happened in other countries around gaming, around sports in Web3 as well. So how do we take a leaf out of their book, plus look at other opportunities in India for serving Indian users? And so Web3 is a big opportunity, and India yet is a fragmented sports market. So how do you use technology to ensure that you give a better experience to sports consumers? I think these are a couple of trends that I am excited about, and I want to see how it plays out in the next few years.
I'll just say that we're looking at taking these 14 crore users that we have on DREAM11 and solving all the other sports products and service problems that they have, to really take advantage of our situation and solve for these fans, solve these problems, and increase the depth of cricket in India and increase the breadth of sports in India.
Absolutely. Well, all the best to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us again. It was an interesting conversation.
Thank you for having us.
It's now time to take a quick look at our CXO Diary, where I asked both Harsh and Bhavit the same set of quick-fire questions. Listen into what they had to say.
Tenacity.
I would say execution.
I would say leading from the front, not leading from, not giving a diktat from top down, but leading from the front, but allowing everyone to work bottoms up.
Leadership is about leading by example and showing the path to your people for them to be successful and be able to deliver on the vision that they have.
With my son and with my wife, my son is 4.5, so that's definitely my favorite time.
I would say it would be evenings with my two kids, Suvir and Anika, and my wife. Yeah.
I'd say the first book that comes to mind is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's the Nike founder's journey. It's just phenomenal, and very, very relevant for what we are going through.
The last book I read, it's been a while, but it was Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, and I'm watching the show Manifest on Netflix right now.
I talk too much.
I think I get distracted very easily.
I think solving user problems.
Work.
Mukesh Ambani.
Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Twitter.
I don't actually use social media, but if I had to choose one, probably LinkedIn. That's the one that I use the most amongst all.
A means to an end.
I would say the same thing as Harsh, means to an end.
Trying not to think about work.
I am with family, or I am trying to watch a show or something.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the conversations. Thank you and goodbye.